In today's video, we're going to be talking about the new PlayStation 5 Dualsense. I recently just picked one up, even though I don't have a PlayStation 5 just yet. So I wanted to talk about reasons why this controller is far superior than the DualShock 4. At the end of the video, I'm going to be talking about how I use this controller on my PlayStation 4 and my overall experiences with the controller. Is this the best PlayStation controller yet? In the past generations, they've been very similar in terms of feel and size, but this one is totally different. So I wanted to talk about the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller and answer the question, is this the best PlayStation controller yet? Let's get into the video. Okay, so I think the number one best reason for this controller, and it doesn't have anything to do with any of the features that's actually in the controller itself. I know PlayStation has a lot of the haptic feedback they keep pushing and the adaptive triggers, but just the overall change in shape of this controller, it is actually a lot more comfortable. Now, I do not have huge hands, so I would think that a smaller controller would be more comfortable. In terms of size, feel, ergonomics, this definitely has to be the best controller yet. Even on the Xbox side, which I'm a big fan of the Xbox controller and the shape of it, the way the thumbsticks feel, and just everything overall. And I've been playing on this DualSense controller hooked up to my PlayStation 4. Honestly, it's hard to go back to the old DualShock. I don't know why. I do have smaller hands, but this PlayStation 5 controller just seems to fit so well in the hands, and it's much more comfortable. One of the biggest improvements for me is the thumbsticks. On the old PlayStation 4 model on the DualShock, my thumbs would just kind of slip off. It was very smooth. This, for some reason, on the PlayStation 5, they put a little bit more texture around the outside of the thumbstick, which makes it a lot more comfortable and controllable for longer playing times, especially if you're playing first-person shooters where you're going to really need to use the joystick and you can't let your fingers slip off. PlayStation always has a kind of rounded middle, whereas the Xbox controllers has an indentation, which I do believe it is a little bit better and more comfortable. The old DualShock 4 was a lot smaller than this. This is definitely a lot more comfortable. It doesn't have a round edge like the old one. It just happens to fit very nicely in the hands. And I think that is the number one reason for any kind of controller. You want it to fit well in the hands and be comfortable for long durations while you play your game. Because if a controller is not comfortable, you're not going to be having fun and you're going to ultimately put the game down. What's the point in that? So besides the features that they keep promoting with the haptic feedback and the triggers and the rumbling of the controller, they updated this controller so it actually has a USB-C port, which is right in front where the old micro USB. So the battery life is going to be much better on this, and it's also going to charge a lot faster. I know that it happens that as the old PlayStation 4 DualShock got older, you would notice that the battery life would really diminish. So I think that is going to be much better in this new generation DualSense controller. Unfortunately, if you do actually have a PlayStation 5, it's really up to the developers to use the features that Sony developed in this new DualSense. As you can see on the advertising for PlayStation, you can see that they say that the features are only available based on the game. Some games are going to really try to push this, and other games are just not going to. We're a year in, and it seems like it's a little bit of a slow start when it comes to the features that the PlayStation 5 controller has. I do think a good upcoming game that we're going to see early next year is Gran Turismo 7, which they are already advertising that they really pushed this PlayStation 5 controller with the features of haptic feedback and the triggers and everything else that this controller has to offer. As in terms of extra features, I think we're we're not there yet to see the full capacity of this controller, but we are definitely headed in the right direction. Ultimately, we'll have to see. I did want to talk about the actual color of this DualSense. I kind of really liked the pictures online, but when I got it home, it is a little bit flat to me. The red isn't as bright as I would like. I don't hate it, but it's not exactly what I expected it to be. Take that with a grain of salt. If you're gonna buy this red controller, you may want to just get a black controller or one of the new controllers that are coming out. Let me know what controller color that you are interested in, because all the new controller colors that have been introduced are coming out early next year. Let me know which controller color you want. Look, if you don't have a PlayStation 5, then this controller is not going to be very beneficial to you at all, because Sony unfortunately makes things very tough, and they make it so their stuff really only is compatible with Sony. Even if you have this controller and you don't have a PlayStation 5, all of the features that they promote is not going to be of any benefit to you. It's just going to, you'll be able to use it as just a controller, which is fine. Like I said, the number one reason to buy this is just the overall feel of the controller. It feels very nice in the hands. In that sense, the controller is much better. On the other hand, is kind of a new feature, and the developers really haven't done that much with it yet, even though it's been a year. So it's going to take them a while to add a lot of these features into the controller. That is one reason why you may not want to buy this controller. Of course, if you have a PlayStation 5, well, you have no choice. It's still a great controller no matter how you look at it. Now that this controller has been out for over a year now, we're gonna see other companies make their own version, and it's gonna be very similar to the feel of the controller Ergonomics, so we might actually be able to get a cheaper option. How do you use this PlayStation 5 controller on the PlayStation 4? Well, there are two options, and the first option, where you will see a lot on YouTube and online, is through the Remote Play app that Sony has. I'm not going to go through the setup here, but you can look it up. It is a little bit kind of cumbersome, and it's really a pain. I don't recommend it. If you wanted, or if you had a special adapter, I did a video on it. It's called the Magic S Pro. You just stick it right into the PlayStation 5. It will help your PlayStation 5 connect, or PlayStation 5 DualSense connect to that adapter. The controller works just like normal. But like I said in the beginning, unfortunately, a lot of the new features of the controller will not work. Unfortunately, it will just be a controller. You will get the same ergonomics and feel of the new updated version, which I appreciate, and I definitely feel like it is worth it. I know for me, I'm definitely going to be buying a PlayStation 5 as soon as I can get my hands on one. Some of the older PlayStation 4 games didn't have any rumble or anything like that, but the newer games, they added a little bit more rumble feature. I played The Last of Us Part 1, which made this controller, it was just a plain controller. I mean, you could use the buttons, but it wouldn't vibrate or anything like that. Whereas a newer game, Last of Us Part 2, I used, and I could feel a little bit more vibration, and it was a little bit better. The only thing is, one button that you couldn't use is the big center button here. We're not all the way there on using it on the PlayStation 4. I definitely really hope Sony can figure out a way to let us just use this controller with the PlayStation 4. I understand they want to sell more PlayStation 5s, but at the current state we're in, it would be nice if it would all be backwards compatible. But as for now, you can use the Magic S Pro, or you can just wait for a PlayStation 5. So when it comes to the PlayStation 5 controller, I definitely think we have a lot to look forward to. But unfortunately, at this moment, there really isn't a lot of games that really use this controller to its fullest potential. I think, we still have a little bit of waiting to do. Overall, this controller feels great. The added USB-C input for charging is huge. It's going to make it a lot better and a lot quicker to charge. Things like that. And I definitely think because it's only $5 more, it is exciting to see. I hope everyone can get a PlayStation 5 as soon as possible to really utilize this controller. If you are interested in picking up the Magic S Pro to use to hook up any controller to your PlayStation 4, PC, Nintendo Switch, I will link the video down in the description, and also right here you can click on that to check it out. Have fun gaming, guys.